Okay, hi everyone. So welcome to the last informational cohort meeting of this school year, and the topic is preparing for senior year. Super exciting. The next cohort meeting will be the end of the year celebration. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun. There's going to be raffles, so I highly encourage you all attend. These are our learning goals for today. And can I get one student to read off the first one?
Students will understand the current COVID-19 admission policies.
Students will learn what next steps they must take to prepare for their senior year.
Gloria, are you speaking? You're muted. Oh, so my sound was off. Okay. I just see the chat saying I heard it. Okay, sorry. Gloria, can you popcorn to someone?
Yeah, I'll popcorn to Sydney.
Oh no, I think something's wrong with my sound. Let me just go ahead again, Gloria.
It said students will learn what next steps they must take to prepare for their senior year. And I passed it.
I realized it was my sound. Sorry about that. So glad that we got that out of the way. Did you popcorn to someone?
Yeah, I passed it to Sydney, but I don't know if her sound is working. So
I think.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Students will learn the potential cost of senior year.
Okay, perfect. So those are our learning goals for today. And then we will transition on to a Mentimeter. So I will put the link for it in the chat. What you could do though is if you're on your phone, you can just go to menti.com and then input the, oh, hello. Let me just go back. There we go. Go to menti.com and then put this code. So the code is 30485454. And you all will be answering a series of questions just to gauge where y'all are at in regards to preparing for senior year. So the first question is, how are you feeling about applying to colleges next school year? How are you feeling about applying to colleges next school year? So I see hopeful, nervous, scared, uneasy. Oh, if y'all pull up I realize that y'all are inputting it in the chat. You can also input it onto the Menti too. So if you pull up this link, so menti.com, and then input the code, you will be able to contribute to the word cloud that's on the screen. Nervous is a big one. Okay, I see good, kind of sad, stressed, confused, confident. All right, I'll give you another moment to input your answers. Overwhelmed. All very valid feelings, truthfully. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next slide. Oh, y'all have already been answering. But anyways, how familiar, if you haven't yet, I'll run through it real quick. How familiar are you with, and then you can go ahead and rank each one. So 5 being very familiar, 0 or 1, I don't remember what the first number is for not familiar. So 0 or 1 for not familiar. And then the items are UC personal insight questions, asking for letters of recommendation, updates to SAT, ACT policies, financial aid and scholarships, and then costs of senior year. So I see super low for ACT and SAT policies. All right, I see a 3.3 for personal insight questions. That makes me very happy because, you know, that was our last cohort meeting. Cost of senior year is also quite low. Financial aid and scholarships. And then, okay. All right, so we're all pretty mixed on here. Hopefully today's workshop can help bring that number up for you, but this is just to assess where everyone is at. Okay, thank you for participating. I'm gonna head back to the slides. And as y'all know, I love having like a little words of advice, you know, affirmations for students. So this is like my little affirmation for you all, because I don't think y'all realize how amazed I am at y'all for really getting through this school year. If y'all didn't know, junior year is the toughest year of high school, right? And that's in the absence of a pandemic. So y'all really went through your junior year. In the global pandemic, there was like so many things happening this school year that really could have like thrown folks off track, but y'all did it, y'all made it through, and I'm really proud of each and every one of you. I really think it is a testament to how amazing y'all are. So be proud of yourself for getting through, and definitely make sure you give yourself the credit that you deserve. But with that being said, buckle up. Senior year is gonna be an adventure. It will definitely at times feel hectic and overwhelming, as y'all kind of mentioned on the Mentimeter, but just know that it will be a rewarding experience. So while you're a junior and while you're kind of going through this time in your life, absorb as much as you can. The slides will be available later, as I always mention. I will definitely be here next school year. I know there was some concern about that. My wording in the last cohort meeting, I apologize. But just know that I will be a resource next school year. So don't think that you need to have every bullet memorized in this presentation. Take what you need, listen to understand. All right, so this is the quick table of contents. What should I be doing? Admissions updates, summer to-do list. And then the most exciting part, or at least the part that I'm the most excited for, the EAOP senior panel. So what should I be doing? Okay, if you follow me on Instagram or the college advising Instagram, you will already have seen a graphic very similar to this. So if you don't follow it, this is my little plug to tell y'all to follow it. But this is what you should all be doing right now. So focus, study, plan, and self-care. Focus on distance learning, focus on keeping your grades up. If you are applying to any four-year colleges, you should not have any D's or F's. So check in with me if you have any concerns about that, and we can figure out a plan for retaking. If you have incomplete grades, make sure you complete them. Stay on track with your A through G requirements, make sure that you are meeting them. For AP exams, study and take those AP exams. Plan for the summer. Are you doing EAOP summer sessions? Are you doing volunteer opportunities? Are you doing concurrent enrollment? Those are a few things that you could be doing. And then finally, self-care. You are more than what you contribute as a student, so make sure that you are taking time to prioritize your own well-being. Admissions updates. All right, so just doing a quick overview of the systems. I'm sure y'all have heard this so many times before, but you know, CSUs, UCs, private out-of-states, and our community colleges. So just a brief overview so that y'all can reorient yourself as we dive into the admissions updates. I highly recommend, you know, either taking a picture of this or just making sure you look at this when you come back to these slides later. I'm not going to go through each one because we're going to have a breakdown in a bit, but just know that UCs and private schools will be requiring essays. So keep that in mind as you prepare for senior year. Letters of recommendation are another important component of the college process. So some UCs might request for a letter of rec after you hit submit. So you do not need a letter of rec when you are preparing to apply. Private schools require a letter of rec before you, or at the time that you hit submit. So that will be included part of your packet. CSUs don't require essays or letters of recommendation unless you are applying to a program called EAOP. EAOP is the Educational Opportunity Program, very similar to EAOP, but kind of like the college equivalent. If you are thinking about applying to those, allocate enough time so that you can finish those components. And then finally, our community college application, super easy application. Most students do it, or all students do it in the spring actually. So you can probably get it done in one sitting, no essays required. You just have to input all your kind of like academic information, your high school information, and you're good to go. For our CSUs, as y'all know, when things went online, grades kind of went up in the air, right? You were taking grades for pass, no pass, or pass, no, what is it? Pass, no pass, or credit. I don't remember the terminology exactly, but just know that they are accepting those grades for spring and summer. So if you have any concerns about that, there's your little affirmation. It's fine. They accept those grades. Outside of that time window, though, obviously C minuses and higher are what they expect. For standardized testing, CSUs don't even accept them, so it's not a requirement. As for AP exams, they will honor your transferable credit from spring 2020. So that's when things went online, remember. And then I had a question, a private message to me, are UC's test optional or is it strict no? Great question. I have the answer in the next slide. As for admissions requirements, the GPA is a 2.5. Historically, it has been a 2.0. So if you are in the 2.0 to 2.49 window in terms of your GPA, know that you can still be admitted to CSUs. They will look into other components of your application. So what are the other components? A through G requirements, household income, extracurricular involvements, and other available information. And as y'all have already selected courses for your senior year, do know that the CSU recommends that you enroll in an English course, which is a requirement with your A through G, and then a math or quantitative reasoning course. All right, so for our UCs, same thing in terms of academics. The pass, no pass is okay for spring and summer. And then everything outside of that window, of course, has to be a C minus and above. For the standardized testing, it is no longer required. So SAT, ACT. If you have a score, you can submit it if you'd like. If you don't have a score, then you just don't submit anything. For admissions requirements, 3.0 and 3.0 GPA and above is what they are asking of students. And of course, they look into things outside of that. So outside of academics, extracurriculars, awards, UC, PIQs. And if you want to keep up to date with the COVID announcements, I also put the link there on the slide. All right, so private and out of states. Unfortunately, as you know, like they don't run on one system like our CSUs and UCs, so it's not a standard admission policy that I can really give to you or information that I could really give to you. So what I really urge with students is to do their individual research because they have individual criteria. So as you're building your list, look into those requirements, right? Will I need to have an SAT score to apply to a certain university? What is the GPA requirement? How many essays do I have to write, etc. So all of this to say, do your research for private and out of states. And then I received a private question. EAOP, is this, they said, is EAOP an extracurricular? So that would go under academic enrichment or educational enrichment. So on your application, you will classify that as a educational enrichment opportunity. Extracurriculars could be babysitting your younger sibling, working at your family business, being a part of clubs on campus, maybe being involved at your church. Those would be your extracurriculars. All right, letters of recommendation. Go into senior year knowing that you will probably have to request for a letter of recommendation from an adult in your life. This can't be your caregivers, your guardians, or your siblings. This is usually a teacher, an employer, a counselor, an advisor. So keep that in mind and start thinking about who can speak to your academic and professional potential. If you feel like you don't have anyone, this is like the wake-up call. start going to office hours, building connections with your teachers, you know, kind of say, hey, you know, I'm applying to colleges next year. I really enjoyed your class. I feel like you know me very well. I can speak to my potential. Do you think, you know, can you write a letter of rec for me later down the road? That's a good way to kind of get your foot in the door and get that process started. Even if you're not applying to a private school, you should be thinking about getting recommenders. And of course, allocate enough time for it. Some teachers require a certain time window prior to the deadline, right? Don't ever ask your teacher to write a letter of rec the day before or the week before. It takes a lot of time and energy to write a really good quality letter of recommendation. So respect their time and always say thank you once they submit it. Okay, so I got questions in the chat. For the UC application, do we have an extra essay for being involved in EAOP? You can write about being an EAOP for your PIQs. I think that's PIQ 4, if I remember correctly. You can write it in your additional comments if you would like, but they do require, or not, they don't require. You can write a description about the extracurricular activity on your UC application. So when you hit submit, or before you hit submit, you can have like how many hours you've dedicated to the activity, a little description, all of that. And then another question is, can you give us the senior profile link as well? Yes, the senior profile link is on the slide, and I will do a quick demo. And then I received another question privately. Are there requirements for letters of rec? How long the adult has known me? Okay, requirements. I think some teachers request for the senior profile or they ask for your PIQs before they write it, just so that they have more context. In regards to how long the adult has known you, I think as long as they've known you during high school, that's like the most important part, the non-negotiable. Sometimes knowing someone longer produces a higher quality letter of rec, right? So if they've known you all throughout high school, they might be able to describe your growth a little bit better. So it really depends on the student. Sometimes, like, I know for this school year, I only knew some students for like 5 months, but I knew them so well because we met every week that I was able to write a letter of rec. Time doesn't mean as much. It's more about how much they know you. So there is some wiggle room with the time window, I would say. So I don't know if I could give you like a definite answer truthfully. I think it comes down to personal judgment. Okay, so check for understanding. Standardized testing like the SAT and ACT is required during the fall 2021 application cycle for the UCs and CSUs. In the chat, true or false? Okay, cool, false. Good job, y'all. I'm gonna try to speed through it a little bit more. I realized I'm running closer on time and there's still a bit more information, so I'm gonna keep moving through. Okay, so I know we just asked a question about SAT, ACT, so I'm gonna just do this. Keep in mind, not doing something that is optional does not harm your chances of admission. So let's say you don't submit an SAT score, it's fine. Everything is additive. It would just provide admissions readers more to look at, right? I know school has been kind of wonky and unexpected this school year, right? And some students didn't get the grades that they wanted. Some students weren't able to take the SAT, ACT as planned, and that is okay. Context matters. Students have different backgrounds and different experiences. So if you want to provide any of that information to admissions, you totally can, and you have the opportunity to do so. Okay, so moving forward with our summer to-do list. While school is out, start getting this information together to prepare you for college app season. All right, so extracurriculars are not just clubs. There's so many other things, and college applications will require you to provide a list of your extracurriculars that you participated in throughout high school. So helping out at home could be one, concurrent enrollment, virtual opportunities, work. And another question I wanted to ask is, were your extracurriculars impacted by the pandemic? So I know when things kind of dropped online, a lot of people kind of withdrew out of extracurriculars, right? Commitments kind of changed, situations change. Colleges understand this. Colleges understand that you may have been limited. So we can just be creative. And what do I mean by that? Next school year, we can be creative with what you were involved in and discuss how things kind of looked in your applications. For example, let's say you weren't able to participate in sports anymore because of the pandemic, because your commitments changed. We can highlight and transition your extracurriculars into maybe babysitting your siblings, helping out at your family business, providing care for your grandparents. So if you have any concern about not being as involved as you were before because of COVID, totally okay. We can reshift things when you apply. All right, building your college list. So summer is the time to really start building your list. You should be applying to at least 4 schools. A good kind of count for schools would be 1 safety school, 2 match schools, and then 1 reach school. Set aside the time over the summer to think about what you envision for yourself too. So academics, costs, distance, transportation, area, culture, what are your non-negotiables? These are just a few things to consider. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list. Other things could be important to you, right? Sports teams, connections to graduate schools, etc. If you have time this summer, it also doesn't hurt to visit schools as well. Okay, so you will be inputting a lot of information on your college applications, and they will require family guardian info, such as your parents' jobs, degrees, residency. You'll also be talking about your life outside of academics, right? So your extracurricular, sports, clubs, jobs, internships, volunteering, family obligations. And of course, you will be providing your academic information. So all of your grades, all of your test scores, and that includes ones on AP exams. I know students don't feel proud of, not passing grades, right? Like not getting AP credit, but just know that you should be including those on your college applications as well, just because colleges do appreciate and acknowledge follow through, which means taking the exam, even if you don't get college credit. All right, so here are the links to all the resources. I'll just do a quick demo. The senior brag sheet is what will be required of you before, filling out your college application. So this is from EAOP. I highly recommend making a copy of it and working on it throughout the summer. And then the other one is the senior profile. So this is for EC. If you're applying to a Common App school, or if you're asking for a letter of recommendation, they will ask that you have this filled out. So this takes you to the EC website. You'll see at the bottom that you can open up the PDF for it. And then, you just create your own Google Doc, answer all those questions. And when you ask for a letter of recommendation from your teacher or your counselor, they'll probably ask this from you. And then the other thing I wanted to urge you all to start doing is building a system for yourself to keep track of all of your logins. So you will have so many different logins during your senior year because of all the accounts that you're creating. So if you don't have a system for yourself, here you go. I got y'all. You can input it onto this sheet, obviously, after you make a copy. Okay, we're gonna keep moving forward. Check for understanding. What are some things to consider when you are potentially when you are researching colleges you want to potentially attend or apply to? What are some things? Non-negotiables. Thank you, Gloria. Reach, match, safety, yes. Other things could be, academics, cost of school and living. Yes, thank you, Sydney. Culture on campus too, right? Let's see. How good the school is, weather, yes. Okay, cool. I'm really trying to breeze through all of this so that we can get to the student panel because I realize the panelists are coming in. So we will try to move quickly. So the next section is the cost of senior year. Unfortunately, senior year is not cheap, and we will be talking more about this. So quick disclaimer, these costs could change. And just know that not all of these costs are mandatory. So you can kind of pick and choose which ones you will be paying. So this is the average cost of senior year. We have our college apps on the left. We have our social costs on the right. The asterisk on the college app side means that it could be waived if you qualify for free and reduced lunch. So if you are free and reduced lunch eligible and didn't apply this year because of COVID, make sure you apply next year just so that it's a bit easier when you are trying to get your fee waivers for applications. I unfortunately don't have access to any college app fee waivers, but I can help you in completing the paperwork if you need that support. For a common application fee waiver, that will be with your counselor. And then, the social costs are on the side as well. Obviously, you will not be paying every single one unless you, do every single one or you go to every single one. So just keep that in mind. We also have our college enrollment cost. So these are spring costs, so spring semesters. And this will be required before you receive financial aid. So just know that this might be coming out of pocket for you. And these normally occur at the same time as prom and graduation, and prom's a little expensive. Graduation can get a little expensive, but know that these fees might be able to get waived for you. So check in with that. And then many of these are non-refundable too. So once you pay it, you're not going to get your money back. I see in the chat, yikes. Okay, so fee waivers, not going to run through everything on this list because we're running short on time. But, submit a free and reduced lunch application this fall, this fall, so that you have easier access to get fee waivers for your applications. Okay, any questions? I went through that so fast, so let me know if anything was unclear and I'd be happy to return to it. Also, feel free to take a quick stretch, sometimes these presentations can feel long, so go ahead and do something to wake your body up. Okay, cool, I guess there's no questions. I know it was a lot, so to sum it up, I made a table for y'all, check it out later, take a picture of it right now. You have your junior year checklist, and then you have your summer checklist. And then with that, I'm so excited for this part here. So we will have our EAOP senior panel with some of our amazing seniors. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then also, let's see, okay. And then pause the recording. All right, hello. So this is the exciting part of today's cohort meeting. We are having our student panel with some amazing seniors that have worked super hard this school year and I've had the honor of working with. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started. The order that we will go in is Tina, Amaya, and then Suchita. So Tina, Amaya, and then Suchita. So the first question for y'all is your name and your pronouns, your college decision, and your intended major. I will input it in the chat too.
My name's Tina. I go by she, her, hers, and I'm gonna be going to UC Berkeley for data science.
No. Okay, my name is Amaya. I go she, her, and I'm going to University of Miami for marine biology and ecology.
Hey, so my name is Suchita. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm going to UC Berkeley as a public health major. UC Berkeley.
Damn, you got it kind of raw.
All right. Okay, the next question I have for y'all is, what do you wish someone would have told you about senior year? And what should students watch out for?
Well, a lot of people were like, senior year is the easiest year, but I don't know. For me, it like was not, especially because like I was taking like AP Calculus and like AP Lit, and then like college abs and like scholarships. It's not the easiest year. Maybe for some other people, but it wasn't for me. So don't think it's gonna be the easiest year. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to piggyback and agree with that. Like junior year most definitely was rough, but oh my God, taking into account like college apps on top of like you still have to do your schoolwork and you still have finals. And with AP classes, that's like already like so much. And yeah, I should have just watched out for being more prepared ahead of time in regards to college applications.
Yes, I like definitely agree because when senior year starts, you're not gonna really have a lot of time for like college apps. So don't push them off and try to do them all in August because you might be working, you're gonna be taking AP classes or just like feeling the senioritis. So definitely starting your college apps early and finish most of them like in the summer. Yeah.
That's y'all's answers. Y'all are so funny. That kind of leads me into my next question. So with all that y'all have shared in terms of it being hectic, wishing that you have started earlier, you know, if you had to answer it, what advice would you give for current juniors preparing for senior year? And any advice for the summer and the final month of the school year?
Ooh. Well, over the summer, I would say like to start making your college list. And if you've already made your college list, then start writing your college essays at least. And like be using Miss Rochelle as a resource when you're doing all that because she knows a lot and she helps a lot. So you don't have to do everything on your own. Stop.
Bruh.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, I say the college list, and most definitely you don't even have to write your essays in the summer, but brainstorm. Oh my God, the times I've cried to Miss Rochelle, the times I literally sat in front of some random person's house crying, eating a burrito because I didn't know what to write about. So I say like, even just everything's online. You can literally look up the questions you have to write the whole essay about to get into college. So you just brainstorming anything, writing anything out. Because for UCs, it's 5 PIQs you have to write. You can look it up. You can start brainstorming or just write down like your activities. Any little help, any little brainstorm, any little thing is gonna help you write a whole essay, you know? So yeah.
For sure, like start your college list early. That's one thing I didn't do, and that's one thing I really wish I did because yeah, I kind of just worked on my college list as I was like putting it down on my fast phone. But yeah, and find opportunities that you might be interested in, whether that be like internships or extra classes or like research that you can be a part of over the summer, and go to EAOP's senior seminar because that really helped me like get started on my essays early on in the summer, and NAFTACAL really helped me edit them and like hone my writing too.
I appreciate all the love. Y'all are so funny. I know y'all have so much going on, you know, just from reading y'all's essays and getting closer to y'all throughout the school year. So with that, how did you balance your activities and academics alongside college, financial aid, and scholarships?
Bruh, honestly, I have like a lot during the day, whether it's like tutoring or like dance or whatever. So usually like scholarships and college apps is like reserved like 11 p.m. to like the morning and stuff. I mean, like you could work on it during the day. It's probably better, but for me, it ended up being like a lot of late nights.
For me, well, this year was kind of easy with online learning, and I like our block schedule, so I only had 3 classes, but then I also worked, so it was like, So for me, finding a day where it's like a clear-cut day, or when I know I have time carved enough time to actually do the college stuff, because You can't just sit there for 5 minutes and just start working on it. It's like a whole thought process, like a whole like day. Like I think carving out one single day, or like you're on your weekend, if you're not working and you have a clear day, don't just do anything. Like you got to prioritize it. So then later on, like friends and all that stuff can come later on. You got to carve out some time to do what you got to do, you know? So.
Yeah, like for me, I kind of like schedule it on Google Calendar so I wouldn't feel like hella overwhelmed. Like I'd write like little tasks on the task app that I had to do for the day. And then that way I didn't forget like any important deadlines and I knew how to spend my time like, like during the day. And of course I'd procrastinate, but I still had time for like Netflix and activities because what I do is I'd write like some parts of my essay and then I'd kind of let it like marinate so I could think it over. And whenever I got like an idea, I'd put it in my notes. And then, yeah, I do it like every other day or like every 3 days, like depending on how I felt.
I want to just give a +1 to blocking off time in Google Calendar. I think honestly, that's one of the best study tips, college application tips I can really give to students. Because like with the virtual world, everyone thinks they need to be connected at all times of the day, right? Like I hear a ding, let me answer that text. No, you just airplane mode, carve out time to work on things because it gets tough handling it week to week or day to day even. So I hear y'all.
And can I add something?
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. But I think if you are doing, or like, Google Classroom, you need to keep those notifications on. I don't know if anyone turns off notifications, but you need to have like the assignments, like you need to have notifications, have a planner, have a calendar, have something, a little post-it note. You need to have those dates like done because yeah, you're doing college app, but you still are taking classes at the same time. And that's like the hard balance. So it's like, do this classwork stuff when you can and turn it in on time, So yeah.
I love that. Yes, keep Google Classroom notifications on because I also post so many scholarships during senior year on there and no one's going to help you, no one's going to really push you to apply to scholarships. You need to be able to initiate that, right? What, Tina, why are you smiling?
Gloria's messaging me. Sorry, I had to clear out.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
I was about to say something, but now I forgot. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. How did you go about making your college decision?
Ooh, I had like a Google sheet that like Mr. Peng helped me make, where it's like I had certain things like I wanted to grade each school on. And for me, that's like, I didn't want to go to a PWI or like I wanted a school that wasn't just white people. And then I wanted there to be like some kind of like dance community there because like that's what I like to do. And then the data science program, just like how they rank in that and just like the area too, because I kind of wanted to stay in California. So I had like those things lined up in that Google sheet. And then I would like rank it out of 1 to 10 and then it would just automatically like bump it up or bump it down depending on how high on that scale it ranked. So that really helped for me to visualize everything.
For me, it was more of my major. So I really like marine biology and like science and that type of stuff. So I knew I want to do hands-on stuff. I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere. I want to be near the beach and I like the beach. So I was looking at like, well, okay, so initially I was gonna do UCs, but I kind of ended up applying due to mental breakdowns. But I still have that on my list, the UCs like in Southern California, and I did CSU, Monterey Bay, and Long Beach, and then like Miami, that's in the water, and they have a raw school just for marine biology. So, and they have like wave simulators. So I just like looked up like, oh, YouTube, looking up things. If you can't travel there, I would most definitely say try to travel if you can't, but who got money to be traveling all the different places? YouTube has resources. They literally record 2-hour long tours. So I say like looking at the campus is really important. And then like the social life and that dynamic. And then also what you want to study. You're going to be going there for 4 years to do what you want to do. So how that going plays, and the student to faculty ratio, I need more like hands-on learning. So I kind of took that into a part because I don't know if I could do like the big professor type learning stuff. So yeah.
Piggybacking off of what Amaya said, definitely like look at the virtual tours. Well, this year you could probably go there, but when I was looking at it, I was looking at all the virtual tours, being like kind of imagining myself there. And then I also, what I also do? Oh yeah, I went to their little Zoom meetings because they'd like talk about like their like programs, and you could ask like the students questions and stuff. And not a lot of people went, so it wasn't like that bad either. And Berkeley was kind of like my dream school, I guess. So I made my decision based on like my major, research opportunities, financial aid, and location, because I kind of wanted to stay like close to home and in California. And not a lot of schools have like the public health major, but UC Berkeley has like a top program. So I knew I could get like a great public health background there, and with like research opportunities and like all the networking opportunities with top professors and alumni, and the location being in the Bay, like I know I could find like a great, like a lot of clinical experiences for medical school as a pre-med and still try out like a lot of my interests.
Oh, can I add one thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Like if you do know anybody, I would say like reach out to like the older kids, you know, that have gone to some of these schools you're applying to, and just like ask them like, oh, like how much do you like your school, pros and cons and whatever, because they'll like let you know the truth. Like some of these websites, they could be like lying to you like straight up.
Yeah, or vlogs, YouTube vlogs, like day of a life. Yeah, like someone put day in life vlogs, that help too, or like dorm vlogs.
I love that you mentioned that, Tina, because, you know, if you go to an admissions webinar, they're going to be like, go Bears, like this is the best school. But if you want the real insight, you need to talk to the students there. They're going to give you the student experience. They're not going to talk about it from the staff perspective. So yes, reaching out to students that do go there, but also like making use of YouTube, making use of TikTok. I don't know, but I go on my For You page and I see like so many campus tours and I'm like, dang, I would have really benefited from this as a high school student. So y'all really do have access to some amazing resources on platforms that you're already on. Okay, the next question is, you know, what role did your college advisor play in supporting you as a senior? And do you have any recommendations for current juniors in seeking support?
For me, Miss Rochelle was like my biggest resource for college apps, especially if you come from like a first generation like family and stuff like that. You know, like your family's not going to be like the biggest help when filling out college apps. And Miss Rochelle helped me so much. Like for all of my essays, it was like back and forth with her. And like financial aid, like I was asking her questions about FAFSA and like finding scholarships. Like she finds all the scholarships for us and we just have to apply. Like it's so good. So yeah, I would say definitely fully use Miss Rochelle as a resource just because she's such a good one, you know. The other school counselors, not to hate on them, but they have so many students and they have like so much other stuff, but Miss Rochelle's really here just to help you with like college apps and stuff like that. So use her.
Good. I'm not the only one who went back and forth with you because I was feeling horrible. Remind, bro. First of all, I have Miss Rochelle's number. Have the Remind. Be texting both of them. Be emailing her every question, any question I had. I'm asking her because my dad, he didn't even graduate high school. How he's supposed to know, you know? So Miss Rochelle most definitely helps with all that. And then like editing essays and like proofreading in them, that's, you need to have that. And like, oh, you can't use can't, like you have to write cannot, you have to like write out those stuff and like that I didn't know. So like all that had to change and that type of stuff. And just like Miss Rochelle's just there for everything. And if you just have to ask, like, don't be afraid to ask. She's here for you guys. You guys are the ones in EAOP. Like, she's not here for nothing. She literally knows every single thing. Financial aid, any question. And if she doesn't know, she's gonna reach out to someone and you're still gonna find out. If she doesn't know, she's gonna find out for you, you know? And that's what I loved. And then another thing is like senior year, you need to be reaching out to people, period. They're not reaching out to you. I wanted to graduate early. They're not asking people, do you want to graduate early? You have to email them and be like, I want to graduate early. This, why. I already have my credits. Give them your transcript to give everything for like even for recommendations. People are not asking you, do you want me to write your letter of recommendation? You have to like learn how to reach out to people. And then also say thank you. After anything, you better send an email saying thank you. You better send a text. Like you can't ask for all this help and then not say thank you. But asking for help, something you really got to learn because you're going to receive help and that's so nice.
Yeah, for sure. Like my parents did not like graduate and they could not help me with anything. So I was going to Miss Rochelle's office hours like every single week. I had a list of questions and I'd just be like, Miss Rochelle this, Miss Rochelle that. And I was asking her questions on like financial aid. She was giving me feedback on my essays. And like, I did not know how to write my activities, but she was like going into my doc being like, okay, so you got to take out this, you got to put this in. And that was just so helpful. Oh my God. And also like applying to scholarships. Every time I finished like an essay, I'd send it to Miss Rochelle. She'd be like, okay, that looks good. Or she'd like add some stuff, be like, you should do this. Kind of like guiding me and stuff. And that was so helpful. And whenever I didn't know something, she'd ask like other like people in EAOP, like the higher ups or whatever. And she'd be like, oh, what is this? My student had a question. And they let her know. And she'd text me and be like, yes, Achita, so it's this. And also like set up one-on-ones with her because sometimes in office hours, there's obviously going to be a lot of people coming in trying to ask questions. So if you set up one-on-ones, that's just going to be like your time to ask all your questions. So yeah, she's definitely a great resource to have. And oh my God, even after I was done with all my applications, like I wanted to talk to people who'd gone to like UC Berkeley under like the public health major, and she knew people. So I kind of got to connect with them and like ask them questions.
Sorry, I'm just, I'm soft because, I've seen y'all's journey throughout this year. So I'm just kind of, I'm in my feels a little bit. But there's like one phrase or one quote that I really wanted to emphasize, and it's closed mouths don't get fed. The only person that knows that you need support is you. So it's really on you to advocate for yourself. But at the end of the day, just know that EAOP students are my priority in serving. So don't do yourself a disservice by not reaching out next year, not reaching out now, because as pretty much everyone has mentioned here, I'm here for y'all. So make sure you reach out for help if you need it, because no one else will be doing it for you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's another thing. Oh, sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead. That was
you're doing this by yourself. Like I know like like everyone knows that, but like until it happens, it's like, oh my God, like FAFSA, like all like the word, like everything you're doing is by yourself. And if you don't have people in your family member closely connected to you, who you gonna have? Miss Rochelle. Mic drop. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, I'm sorry. But anyways, that was the last question from me. I wanted to open it up to any juniors that had any questions. And if y'all don't have any questions, don't worry, I got backup questions to ask them. But I'll give y'all a moment. If you want to unmute, if you want to type it in the chat, both forms are welcomed. Okay, I get this question often, so I'm going to ask it. How did you ask your recommenders for letters of recommendation?
Well, I chose the teachers that I felt closest with and that I've had like more than one semester with, just because I feel like they could give a better personal recommendation. So like Miss K, I had her like all 4 years. And then Mr. Peng, I had him for like 3 semesters. So those are the teachers I was closest to, and plus they're really great people. And I just like sent them like a really nice email, like politely asking them, because these teachers, they're literally writing like 30 like I don't know, recommendation letters. Like those are like essays. Like that's like time taking away from like grading or whatever they do. Like, you know, like that's like a lot of effort. So you want to be really nice and like really appreciate all the work that they're putting into you.
Yeah, most definitely. For me, it was kind of hard because, like, I don't know, the teachers I had, like, they were cool, like, they were nice, but it was like I didn't really make connections. I don't know. I didn't really make connections like that. But I ended up asking Mr. Payne because okay, you gotta ask for your recent years, like your junior and your senior year. Cause I asked Miss Holman and she said no, because I had her freshman year, but I thought she liked me. But so someone like your recent years, most definitely ask, and someone who's like, not that you just had a class in, and like if you're shy or something, but like someone that you have had like communication, like you've talked to, like they know who you are as a person, they know your personality, so they can write about you, you know. And same with Tina. I just sent an email. If I was in person, I would most definitely ask in person and be like nice, but I sent an email. You gotta say please, then you'd be like, I'm interested in da da da, can you please da da da, like you just gotta sugarcoat it. You gotta be so nice, like on your knees, like please write me a letter of recommendation, you know? Especially if you like, I only had one class. Well, I had AP calculus, but then I don't know if it takes into account like which teacher, but I felt like that was raw, like, you know, like a top tier like class. I'm asking letter right from that, but yeah.
Yeah, so when I chose my recommenders, I chose teachers that I'd gone to like office hours to, or like that I did well in the class, but I also like talked instead, like a lot of great things in like the Socratic or whatever for English, or like I went to their AP review so they could like talk about that, or like for my science class, I picked a class where she kind of knew who I was. I talked to her once in a while, that I'd done like revisions in and stuff. So yeah, I chose those. And then I sent an email that was like really nice, just like everyone was saying. So I was like, oh my God, please, like, thank you so much. You want to say thank you every time. And if you're asking the same person for like multiple letters of rec, I'd say like try to say it all in the same email if you can. If it's for like Common App, try to say all the schools or something in the same email. That way you don't have to like keep emailing them and their email doesn't get like jammed up or whatever. And then I made like a senior brag sheet. And aside from all the stuff that you need to include in that, and you can find that on Google Classroom, at the bottom, I kind of also wrote like specific things I did in their class that made me stand out and what characteristic I think that brings out. And that wasn't part of the senior brag sheet, but I just kind of added that on to kind of remind them in case like they can't like think of anything. And yeah, and thank them every time. This year I couldn't like go and see them in person, so I just like kind of sent emails. But if I was in person, I definitely like give them like thank you cards or like, I don't know, like food, flowers, I don't know.
All right, the next question is, what did y'all do in high school to get into the schools y'all got into?
Well, I did like competitive soccer for about 8 years. And then I was in Sea Scouts all 4 years. And I held like some leadership roles in that. I was in DP for 2 years, but like the dance program all 4. What else? Bruh? I was in leadership. I was SA treasurer and an independent. I'm like forgetting stuff. I did like a few other things here and there. Like I think I was in Key Club for like a hot minute. Like I think I was in Garden Club too for like a year. And like TikTok Club. I'm pretty sure like Christy started that. I did like flags. I mean, like it's not like bad to like dabble and stuff. Like definitely. Oh, I mean, y'all are not dabbling anymore. Y'all are juniors. But I mean, it's like really good to like show them that you're consistent with like some things, because like dance and then Sea Scouts and like those and like leadership. like those showed like, oh, like commitment and things like that. So that's kind of like what I accentuated on my like activities.
Yeah, kind of. I didn't do as much as Tina. So for me, that's what I was scared of, because I'm like, bruh, like I have good grade. Okay, so what kind of helped me was taking a lot of AP classes. Any honors, I'm taking that. If you give me honors versus pre-honors, taking honors, most definitely. That's like not even AP, but you still get that GPA boost. And if you can, any AP I was eligible for, I'm taking that. Like I don't know. I took a lot of AP classes. And then for clubs, that's what I was scared of. Cause I'm like, I'm barely in any clubs. Like, how am I gonna get into any schools? But I got into school. So I think like if you're in like 3 or 4 things for a long period of time, or even like 2 years, that shows that you're more dedicated to that instead of filling out all 9 things and saying you're only in there for 2 months. Oh yeah, I also work. So like for me, I did work. I've been working for like, well, I had 2 jobs, but like since I was 15, that's good. And then soccer, like Tina said, I've been playing competitive since kindergarten. And then I was on the varsity team for 4 years. Well, not this year, but they didn't really know that. So that 4 years. And then culture keepers, I was in that. And like, I was in that 3 years. And since that had to do with stuff in the school that made like me look a little better. So I think like do clubs that you enjoy and that can also look good in your community or in your school. And even if you have 3 or 2 or 3 or 4, as long as you're like dedicated and you've been in it for a long time, they're gonna like that. They're gonna see that you're doing good. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that like how many things you do doesn't really matter as much as like how you write about it in your activities section, how you write about it in your essays, and like to show how dedicated you were, like how many years you did it for, like how much time you spent, the hours per week or whatever. So I was a volunteer at like my little Nepali community group for 4 years. And I was in like 2 clubs, I think. And then my senior year, my friends were like, oh my God, we should like start a health club. So we did that, kind of like as a hobby, I guess. And then my other activities, I was in like a exploring careers internship for like 5 months, 5 or 6 months, and I got paid for that. And I shadowed like a pediatrician and like did 2 like mentorship programs. I was involved in like COVID-19 prison research for a while. And I chose to participate in these because like it was something that mattered to me and something I wanted to explore like with my career and stuff. So it was basically something that interested me or something I just did in my free time. Like the volunteering at my community group, that was something I did in my free time. And then later I volunteered at like a food pantry for a while. And that was because I kind of like had the time. So I was like, might as well.
And can I add one more thing? So adding on to like the curriculars, when you first fill out, if you can, write down all the curriculars, like not on paper, on a Google Doc, because you're going to be having to copy and paste how many hours. Every application, they're asking you how many hours of the week. Who knows that? So like once you just have to like copy, because you just copy and paste every application. Scholarships ask you what clubs you're in, how long, months, what your title was. So all that like stuff, and then a little description. Once you write it down, save it. You're gonna copy and paste that for every single thing. You're gonna do it so many times. So yeah.
Ooh, one more thing. If you don't like have like clubs or like all these like extracurriculars you're a part of, like colleges also want to hear like what you do like at home, like personally, like like your responsibilities and things like that. So like I like help tutor like some of my like younger cousins or like family business, things like that. Like they also want to hear about that because that's how you're spending your time.
Yeah, like if you're like babysitting your little sister, helping her with homework, if you're like helping out around the house by like cooking because your parents work late, or like cleaning, you want to put that into.
Yes, I love that you all mentioned that, because don't think that an extracurricular has to be a title, right? Like president of this club, vice president. There's things that you're probably already doing that are very much extracurriculars. So start thinking about that. You know, if you have extracurriculars at school, take note of that, not on paper, please, on a Google Doc, as well as the things that you're doing that don't necessarily tie to like an organization. The next question that we have is, how many letters of recommendation do you need?
Oh, isn't it like 2 or 3? Usually I had like 2 teachers and like 1 like counselor. So for me, that was like Mr. Shell or Mr. Mua. So, yeah. It's just like that depending on the school.
Yeah, I think for Common App, or I think it's 2, like 2 is the safe one. Like 1 is required, might be required, but 2 like can be recommended. So for me, I did 1 academic one, which was Mr. Payne. And then I did Greg from JMP because I was a culture keeper, and that's like the people who teach mindfulness. So like I was one of those people, so I was always in JMP. And I cry a lot, and I'll be going through stuff during school. I'll be in JMP all the time. So it's like, that's like, she knew me, like, you know, I would always be there. So he wrote stuff for me as well.
Yeah, so I had, for Common App, I asked Mr. Mua because I'd email him once in a while being like, oh, I don't think I could take this class. But then I'd end up like doing good in it anyway. So I think he was kind of like irritated, but like he knew my potential. Like he knew what I could do, what I couldn't do because of the emails I sent him once in a while. And then I asked Miss Nguyen from APES, and I asked Miss Mayetta. So you kind of want like a science teacher and like a humanities teacher to kind of balance it out. And then UC Berkeley asked me for letters of recommendation. So for that, I just chose my like internship supervisor so she could talk about like my career goals and like public health because that's my major. And then I chose Miss Mayetta because I don't know, her letter of rec was just good.
And like for scholarships, you could add for some scholarships, I asked my manager or supervisor, if you're doing good in your work, then they're gonna write you a good thing. And that's also another added thing. Like you want to have 1 academic, 1 like can be a lingering one, and then like community one. Yeah.
Yes, I always tell students advice, if you can, try to have balance. An academic is obviously required, but if you can have someone that oversaw your work, that would definitely provide more context to your potential outside of the classroom, right? Because they want students that are well-rounded, students that can contribute to the learning environment, but also, you know, add to the campus culture, add to the campus leadership, etc. Did other folks have any questions before I close out with the last one? Any juniors with questions? Okay. What advice do you have for low-income students regarding college affordability?
Ooh, definitely apply to FAFSA and like DACA or whatever. Like, I feel like that's a given. And then in the scholarship list that Mr. Shell like sends out, keep an eye out for the district ones or even like the ones specific to your own school. Like, it's so like some of these scholarships, like it's gonna be like just WCC USD seniors going to like 4-year colleges. Like imagine how small that pool is and how likely you are to get those scholarships. And sometimes they'd be like 2,000 and stuff. Like I got the Retired Educators Fund one, and that's like $2,000. Like it's so good. Like just be applying to like the local ones. Like sure, you can apply to like the big ones, like I don't know, like Apple or like Coca-Cola or whatever. But those are like thousands of kids, and like they probably have like, you know, like rich people like on the side, like helping them or something. Like use your local community resources.
Most def. I didn't even try to look up any other ones. I just used the ones that Mr. Shaw gave us because those like you can like any race they have. And then that's already like you're already a little shoo-in for that one. And then seniors and then the WCC blah blah blah. Like that's better. And so for me, I kind of lacked on that because like after I was just so tired after writing all those essays for college. And I'm like, I already got in. Like I just had to do all that work just to get in. Now I got to do all this work for thing. So for me, well, I say you guys need to do scholarships most definitely. And that's also preparing for the scholarships ahead of time. And then I think that's really it.
Okay, one thing I wish I really did was apply to scholarships early. Like, I know y'all are saying like don't apply to national, whatever, but sometimes it's good to apply to the national ones or like the California specific ones. And I joined NAV to Cal, which is basically like UC Berkeley students helping like current students. And they had a whole scholarship list of all the national, local, California-based scholarships. And they even had like student samples. So I'd like look at the samples to know how to structure mine. And they like taught me how to like structure all my scholarships and stuff. So if that's something you want to do over the summer, definitely do that. Like that helped me with my college apps too. And if you apply early, you kind of know how much money you might get from them. So if you're like me and you're making your decision based off like finances and don't want to take out loans, that's really helpful because by the time like you have to pay for like dorms and stuff, you already kind of know like how much money you'll be getting, like whether or not you want to take out loans, live at home, commute, whatever. And apply to need-based local scholarships because some will even help you with like buying a laptop or like give you like or let you just buy other stuff related to like educational expenses, and put yes for the work study option on your FAFSA because you're definitely gonna need that money in college, and work study is just really good. So I might be also doing that in college. And yeah, look into financial aid for each college when making your college list so you can factor that in too.
Yeah. And another thing, you guys are probably listening to us and like, I'm never finna do something during summer. But bruh, what are y'all gonna be doing during summer? Like, you guys don't have any school. Like, and if you guys are taking AP classes and they do summer assignments, I don't even know if they're still doing that. Like, you can bust that out, but you got a month and you're not doing anything. And it's gonna be Rona. So y'all really not doing anything. So you guys can like carve out a little bit of time. It doesn't take the whole summer. You don't have to be doing school the whole summer. So if you're bored during the day and you're like, maybe I can like be a little bit productive today, just like a little bit would help you such a long way. Because if you're starting just the brainstorming during school, you're still doing school. You still have to do school, brainstorm, and then gotta do the first draft, second draft, get it edited, do all this stuff. And it's like so overwhelming. So like start a little bit in the summer. And I swear, like I'm literally praying y'all really do it in the summer because it's gonna help you so much. Like literally it is. And if not, then you guys are gonna be like me and cry like every single day because you're just overwhelmed. So hashtag praying for you guys.
Okay, one thing about the summer, what I didn't do was I wanted to apply to some like colleges through the Common App, but I didn't because I was overwhelmed and I just didn't have the time because I was working on UC apps and stuff. So I only applied to like 3 on the Common App. And one thing I wish I really did was start on the Common App over the summer too, because some schools like Stanford, they're gonna have like 12 essays that you gotta write, plus the freaking Common App essay, and that's like 600 words. So start on at least one of those schools over the summer, plus your UC apps. Oh my God, if you do a bunch of like the writing over the summer, you're not going to be stressing over like August and stuff with all your schoolwork.
And
Yeah, get ready to write.
most definitely. And the application saves. So like before, well, you can choose either or. I'd say brainstorming for the essays is like a smart first step. And then also if you're bored, you can do the regular information. That's still like 12 pages. You gotta tell them everything. You gotta tell them your name, you gotta tell them your mama name, your daddy name, where they went to school, where your brother went to school, where your sister went to school. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta write all the stuff. So it's like, even just doing a little bit every Saturday, that's gonna help you so much.
I really appreciate the tough love. You know, just the honesty. I'm here for it. Yeah, it's going to be hectic, as I mentioned, during senior year. And if you're trying to pull together all that information, it will be tough. It's doable, you know. You might be crying often, but it's doable. It's doable. But I realize it's 12:17 And, you know, cohort meeting was supposed to end at 12:15. So I'm going to close out with a few things. So first of all, thank you so much to Tina, Suchita, and Amaya for coming through. I know I get tired of hearing my own voice sometimes. And so I'm wondering, do my juniors get tired of hearing my voice too? So I really appreciate having all of y'all's insight being shared with students. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to connect with them too. Ask them. This isn't the end of the conversation. So, you know, in these last couple moments, like, hey, private message, one of these three. I'd love to talk more about X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna give y'all time to do that. But for my last closing announcements, my last day this school year at EC is Friday, May 28th. So if y'all need anything at all, you know, vocalize it, let me know, because my Calendly is not going to have any more appointments after that date. The end of the year celebration will be on Wednesday, May 26th. So come through for that. There's going to be raffles. We want to celebrate y'all's hard work this school year. And then finally, apply to senior seminar. This was referenced a few times by our panelists, and they really appreciated it. I sent the link out for that through email. If you need it, let me know. I can send it to you again. I'm going to stop the recording.